From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. More expert testimony was put on this morning by lawyers for the Fbx 4. Stephanie Woodard has more in this report.
Day 12 of the evidence hearing for the Fbx 4 and another expert took to the stand, this time about incriminating statements and faulty police work.
They didn't hunt for any other suspects. They limited the universe of suspects to these 4 individuals and never went beyond that.
It was the Fbx 4's own statements that prosecutors relied on, despite no physical evidence to convict the men. Those statements have been torn apart by the petitioner's attorneys.
The investigators here, the police, substituted an interrogation for an investigation.
The expert testified that not only were the men lied to and interrogated, 2 of them while drunk, but he categorized that those lies from Fbx police departments were false evidence ployed and continued throughout.
All of the interrogations were very guilt presumptive, and it started at the really at the very beginning. A big thing with Vent was his shoe prints. I stopped counting after 10 times in the interrogation with him where Detective Ring brought that up.
He talked about how the police typically investigate and how Detective Aaron Ring continuously divulged what should have been holdback info. Now, these were the things that only the true killer would know.
It started out very early and never really changed during the course of any of these interrogations.
Yes, he did. He did a lot of accusing.
He did. That's true.
I kept telling him, man, you got the wrong person. And he turned around and looked at me and he said, I got the right person.
On cross-examination, the state tried to poke holes in the expert's testimony.
And there was no basis in fact. As a matter of fact, Detective Ring testified that he had no evidence to suggest that Mr. Vent or the others were involved at all when he began this very guilt-presumptive, accusatorial interrogation of these young men. So they weren't looking for any other suspects. It just happened that Mr. Vent got locked up that morning, and there he was, and Ring just decided he'd start going after him for this murder without any basis and evidence to do so. So that's a great example of a suspect-based investigation getting ahead of the evidence. There's no evidence.
This is Stephanie Woodard reporting.
Residents voiced concerns regarding the Fbx Police Department at Monday's City Council meeting. They say officers still with the department mishandled the investigation of the men known as the Fbx 4 for the 1997 murder of 15-year-old John Hartman. Ryan Grimes has the story.
It didn't take them long to arrest the Fbx 4. I think that you should have internal investigation on this police department because they're all corrupted. Thank you.
Amid the hearings involving the Fbx 4 this month, local citizens are criticizing the city for not following up with an investigation of the Fbx Police Department. Protesters say the murder charges brought 18 years ago are bogus.
You should sit in that courthouse or at least listen to the first part of the court on the Fbx 4. You will see how dishonest they are. So could you please try to do something about that?
You do need an investigation. You don't need to get 2 new investigators to investigate these cold cases. You need to get 2 outside investigators to investigate the operations of this police department and some of your former and existing police officers here.
Mayor John Eberhardt responded.
We have said we are willing to conduct such a review of the police department's handling of this case.
He said the city is waiting until the end of the post-conviction relief trial before making the decision to investigate FPD.
We were advised by someone with the state that there is information that we wouldn't know that may come out in this proceeding, so it would be premature, we felt, to conduct such a review. And I've made it very clear to Chief Aragon that if it becomes known through this case or otherwise that someone who's still with us did something that's illegal or unethical, inappropriate, there's going to be appropriate disciplinary action, up to and including termination.
This is Ryan Grimes reporting.
When we come back, the Breast Cancer Detection Center responded today to new guidelines for mammogram procedures. Also, Senator Dan Sullivan spoke on the Senate floor today, urging that a new National Defense Authorization Act be moved forward for approval. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Alaska legislature is scheduled to convene in special session Saturday to consider a buyout of one of the state's partners on a multi-billion-dollar liquefied natural gas project. Items on the agenda set by Governor Bill Walker are the proposed buyout of TransCanada Corporation and a gas reserves tax. Walker said the reserves tax is a way to ensure the project can't be stalled if a company doesn't allow for gas it controls to be commercialized. In a press conference this afternoon, the governor said this is about making sure we have a gas line and gas available for it.
We just hope for as big of a turnout of folks that are interested in the overall overview briefing as we're able to make it. And we're trying to make it, accommodate their schedule. Our first effort was to do it in Anchorage, and then it made sense to do it in Juneau, and then they want to get right to it on the afternoon. So we'll take that morning time and have coffee, etc. for them 8 o'clock Saturday morning.
Senator Dan Sullivan spoke on the Senate floor today, chastising President Barack Obama for threatening to veto the National Defense Authorization Act, a bipartisan bill sent to the president yesterday. The $612 billion defense policy bill authorizes the amount of defense spending Obama requested, but the commander-in-chief doesn't like the way Congress did it. Lawmakers increased defense spending by padding a separate warfighting account with $38 billion. That account is not subject to spending limits. On the floor today, Sullivan said the president's Iran agreement will give tens of billions of dollars to a country he says is the largest sponsor of terrorism in the world. Sullivan questioned why allow this while vowing to veto a bill that funds the U.S. military.
Mr. President, to govern is to choose. To govern is to prioritize. Has it really come to the point where the White House is more focused on freeing up funds for Iranian terrorists than funding America's brave men and women in uniform? I certainly hope not.
Alaska State Troopers and fire and rescue crews were busy yesterday evening on the Parks Highway between Fairbanks and Esther. State Troopers say an F-150 pickup rolled at the Parks Highway intersection with Faith Lane shortly after 7 p.m. About 45 minutes later, there was another accident at the same location involving a Cadillac and a Ford sedan. Traffic was tied up at the scene for some time for the investigation and for tow trucks to get vehicles moved. It was not immediately known if there were injuries in the two accidents. The roads in the area were extremely slick, and troopers advised motorists to use extreme caution because of black ice. The American Cancer Society created quite a stir yesterday when they made a major announcement regarding breast examinations. Local officials from the Breast Cancer Detection Center were very surprised that American Cancer Society is now advising that women of average risk of cancer now wait until they are 45 instead of 40 years to have mammograms. The statement also says that women 55 and older should scale back their examinations to every other year. BCDC says this could create complicated situations locally.
If the American Cancer Association's guidelines remain the same as what they were reported early this week, what that means to BCDC is that we may be seeing an increase in the women that we see here at the clinic that are age 40 to 44, especially if down the road that means that insurance isn't going to pay for it. That hasn't happened yet, and I don't want to alarm anybody, but it's almost like you can see the writing on the wall.
Joe Cook is up next with sports, and a number of Nanuks received accolades today. Also, high school football will look a little different next year. Joe has the details and more after the break.
Hello Interior Alaska, Joe Cook here with your local Wednesday Sportscast. A number of Nanook student athletes received recognition and honors today. We start with the men's basketball squad. Today, the GNAC named Ashton Edwards, Almir Hadjisevich, and Joe Slocum preseason all-conference players. Edwards and Hadjisevich were honorable mention GNAC players at the end of last year. Edwards led UAF in scoring with 14.2 points per game, which was 10th overall in the conference last season. Big Al averaged 12.2 points and 5 rebounds per game for the Nooks. He scored double digits in 16 games. Slocum, he returns after redshirting. In his last active season, he was second in the GNAC in steals and 5th in assists. Western Oregon's Andy Avgi is the preseason player of the year, and UAA landed Brian McGill and Sekou Wiggs on the preseason team as well. But UAF led all conference teams with 3 players on the preseason All-GNAC team. Kate Matthews of the UAF swimming team received a weekly award for the Nanics today as well. Matthews was named CollegeSwimming.com's NCAA Division II Swimmer of the Week. Sophomore and Division I University of Hawaii transfer swam the 200 butterfly for the first time ever on Saturday. Her time of 2 minutes 15 seconds, which was a personal best, was good enough for top 16 in the nation. She is also 19th in the country in the 200 breaststroke with a time of 2 minutes 27.5 seconds. She won the 200 breaststroke, 200 freestyle, and 100 butterfly events. It was runner-up in the 200 butterfly and 500 freestyle. And last weekend's season opening conference duel meet against Azusa Pacific. Matthews and the Nanics will host Biola University October 30th and 31st at Patty Center Pool. Facing their arch rivals in Anchorage, the Alaska Nanics made things interesting against UAA on Tuesday night in volleyball. After dropping the first set, Alaska won set 2, 25-23 over number 13 Anchorage. The Seawolves responded with wins in the next 2 sets, 25-10, 25-12 to win the match in 4 sets. West Valley product Julia Mackey put up 10 kills in the win. Riley Podevich had a career-high 12 kills for Alaska, while Sam Hartoon added a match-high 16 kills. Podevich has scored 23 kills versus top 25 teams in her last 2 outings. Alaska is now 2-16 overall and 2-9 in the GNAC. They play at MSUB on Thursday. Long before this high school football season started, there was discussion of conference expansion. That discussion has now turned into a declaration. The Rail Belt Conference will be a 5-team conference next season as the Chugach Mustangs will join the conference. This will even things out in the state as far as playoff berths go. Now the Cook Inlet Conference will have 6 teams and 4 playoff spots. The Rail Belt will also have 4 postseason berths. These top 8 in the state will face each other, with the number 1 CIC team facing the 4th ranked Rail Belt team, and so on. The higher seed will host. The decision was made by the ASAA Board of Directors earlier this month. The Mustangs will face West Anchorage this Saturday for the large school state title. West Valley head coach Kyle Allison has been pro-expansion, and recently retired Lathrop coach Rusty Ham has been a supporter of Chugach coming to the Rail Belt back in April when the discussion started.
Adding 1 team Chugach would be a fantastic match. The population base is the same in the enrollment. They have their own identity as a community, and they're outside of Anchorage. You know, they house us, they feed us, they let us use their field on a regular basis. They're almost already in the Rail Belt by the way they treat us.
And Tuesday night, local volleyball teams were in action for non-conference matches. There are about 2 weeks left in the regular season. At Joe T. Court, the Lathrop Malamutes hosted the visiting Monroe Rams, who spread their pink breast cancer awareness unis. The Rams took the first 2 sets 25-15, 25-20, led by Kiana King's match-high 17 kills and Giselle Hollis's 30 helpers. But Lathrop rallied as Tyra Doe posted 8 blocks and 6 kills. Cheyenne Diber also had a big game for the Mutes with 13 kills and 9 blocks. Lathrop forced a 5th set with back-to-back 25-23 wins. The Rams, they would edge Lathrop in the 5th set with a 15-11 win. The Rams are now 11-5 on the year, while Lathrop falls to 6-5. Another volleyball action from Tuesday night. The West Valley Wolfpack sweep the Hutchinson Hawks 25-9, 25-16, 25-6. Stella Knox served up 12 aces for the Wolfpack in the win. 3 setters had at least 5 assists, and Brianna Slater led all players with 11 kills for West Valley. The Wolfpack are now 11-0, while Hutchinson drops to 1-9. West Valley will have a road match at Colony tomorrow before this weekend's Service Diamond Tournament. And that'll do it for sports tonight. Thanks for watching. Mike Schultz is next with your full weather forecast, and we'll catch you next time.
Hey everyone, welcome back into a Wednesday night edition of the Fbx Evening News. Mike Schultz once again talking to you about the weather. And for the most part, it wasn't too bad across the interior. We're looking at mainly cloudy skies, and that looks like it's going to be the trend all the way through the weekend. Looks like our temperatures will be close to 40 degrees over the weekend. Our photograph night sent in by Russ Brovold, The Last Signs of Fall. And again, nice colors there, but you can see the trees have lost all their leaves. These are just the last ones hanging in there. And again, as photos, if you have a photograph you want to send, by all means send it to photos@ktvf11.com. Here are your numbers today. The high 37, the low last night 26, the record high 60 in 1938, the record low 17 below in 1958. And your sunrise and sunset, 9 hours and 5 minutes. We'll go into the 9-hour barrier tomorrow. We lost 6 minutes today. The satellite and radar, look at the area of low pressure spinning around the northeastern sections of the Gulf of Alaska. That's helping to bring more rain across southeast Alaska, but it doesn't look like it's going to really influence our weather much at all. Mainly just some high clouds, and that's about it as it slowly trucks off to the east. Out to the west, nothing going on there either, just a few scattered showers, and that's about it. So all in all, a pretty good map. And as far as the state map, you can see once again the rain falling across southeast Alaska. Temperatures near 50 degrees at Ketchikan, 44 degrees and just partly cloudy skies in the Anchorage Bowl, and Kodiak 53 with more sunshine. Now over the Aleutian chain, it is raining around the Cold Bay region, and then more sunshine as you move back up the west coast, and temperatures in the mid-30s for Bethel and Nome. Barrow only 16 degrees for their high today. Fort Yukon at 28 and partly cloudy skies. Lower 48 weather, quite a bit of weather to talk about. As we're looking at the west coast, things are looking pretty good. Just for the most part, lots of sunshine around Seattle. The same up and down the west coast. Then you get back into Las Vegas and Phoenix, pretty consistent. 78 and 77 degrees, but lots of activity moving across the Central Plains. We were talking about it last night, bringing very heavy rainfall, serious thunderstorm activity. And then you move back up to the northern sections, looking at Minneapolis, 63 degrees, only 47 degrees for the high in Denver today. How about that? And the East Coast, looking at temperatures pretty consistent in the mid to upper 70s, the same over the southeast. Now on the satellite and radar, you can see all these storms really developing in the afternoon heating, and they're really getting some pretty good action going on there. The oranges and yellows indicating very heavy rainfall. That'll be moving across the Great Lakes at a rapid rate too with a jet stream. And then on the west coast, a few little high clouds, and that's about it. And the big news tomorrow is going to be all this serious severe thunderstorm activity moving across central Texas, with the greatest flood threat from Texas all the way up into Kansas and even Nebraska, and even parts of Wyoming also. Now the jet stream, we were talking about it last night. Well, the new jet stream is out, and that's even more intense of a low pressure area developing, a big trough of low pressure there, which will bring more heavy activity across the Central Plains. Okay, time once again for our kids' weather. And this week we're talking with the kids from Denali Elementary School. Tonight, here's a young man with a question that's pretty interesting.
Hello, my name is Ian, and I'm in Mr. Keener's class at Denali Elementary School. And here's my question for the weatherman. What is the origin of the word weather?
Well, believe it or not, Ian, the name weather comes from Germany. The origin is from Germany, and it comes from the word wetter, W-E-T-T-E-R. But that's somehow got made into weather, and that's how it got developed. Again, as always, thanks to Mount McKinley Bank for sponsoring our kids' weather. And tomorrow night, the teacher will be here with a weather fact about snow in Valdez. Here's your weather forecast for the rest of the state tomorrow. For the northern sections, mostly cloudy skies across the region, occasional flurries in Barrow and also at Fort Yukon. While here in the interior, for the most part, not too bad. Partly cloudy skies in Fairbanks, but some flurries for Healy and Delta Junction. And more rain over southeast Alaska. Rain from Juneau all the way down to Ketchikan, probably heavy again in the Ketchikan area. To the southwest, we're looking at mostly cloudy skies at Cold Bay and Kodiak with a chance of some scattered showers, and then rain and snow is likely in Bethel. And over the south central regions, looks like mostly sunny skies at Anchorage and Homer, but more clouds in Valdez. And our forecast for the remainder of the night, well, we're looking at continued cloudy skies and cold temperatures. Right around 23 degrees for the overnight low, but that's warmer than it should be. Right around 14 degrees is our normal low, so we should be happy about that. And then tomorrow, not quite as warm as it was today, only 34 degrees with some patchy morning fog, otherwise cloudy. But look at the weekend shaping up for Saturday and Sunday, 44 and 43, and then slowly working its way back down, then rising back up again. So the temperature is way above normal for this time of year. And overnight lows will also be above normal for 26, a pretty good number for Saturday and Sunday. And we can thank Daryl, the El Nino, for this weather.
Yeah, I was about to say that because of all the stuff it's affecting down south, up here in Fairbanks and in the interior, it's actually
usually an El Nino year. It's warmer than normal and less snowfall, and boy, it's working out that way right now.
I know. Come on Halloween. We want no snow for Halloween.
It looks good right now.
All right, thanks, Mike. That will wrap up this edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. We are glad you could join us.
Well, tonight on NBC Nightly News, Vice President Joe Biden announced today he would not be running for president in 2016. Lester Holtz up next with more on that.
Okay, join us here 6 days a week at 6 and 11 or online anytime, webcenter11.com.
And that will do it from all of us here at the News Center. We'll see you back here at 11. Have a good evening.
Good night.